Hey guys, I had a little bit of a mix-up early this week where I thought that today was an A-day week and not a B-day week, and so I was not as prepared for Monday as I probably should have been, and that's on me. And so I'm just going to go ahead and apologize for that. So because of that, we're going to have a little bit of a lighter week this week, content-wise, because it's not your fault that I made an error with kind of when I was going to have material up and content up. I am aiming to try and have a live session on Friday during our class time. I might aim for like 10:30 ish. So that way we can get together. It seems like some of you guys are having some questions and some concerns, maybe some things I can help you clarify. And we got to talk a little bit about kind of some other IB things that are not just TOK specific. But today, I want to talk about curiosity because this class is all about how we know things and the way that knowledge interacts with each other and stuff. But for me, the one area that TOK doesn't talk enough about is human curiosity, uh, what what it is and how it drives kind of everything. Um, if you look at a young child, if you have a baby, right, and you just watch a baby, let's say about 6 months, because before 6 months they're just trying to figure out like how to like blink and stuff, right? But once they hit it 6 months and their body control gets reasonable, right? You just watch a baby and you watch what they're about, and they're just about discovery and learning. That's why babies put stuff in their mouth all the time because they're trying to figure out what it is, what does it taste like, can I eat it? Right? It's this constant drive of curiosity, of wanting to know things, of wanting to understand things, of wanting to try and make sense out of the chaos around them. Um, and then at some point, we beat that out of you and we teach you that learning is a system, right? Learning is a series of checklists. It's a start here, finish here, and in the middle you learn things, I guess. Congratulations, because you got the A, you must have learned something. And we beat out this idea in you that learning is actually exploration, that learning is being motivated by your own curiosity and trying to find the things that enthrall you, right? I'm sure all of you at some point or another have gone down like a Wikipedia rabbit hole where you're reading one article and something in there piques your interest, and so you just open a new tab of that, and then the next thing you know, you've got 30 tabs open and you're in like Scientology somehow, right? Like that is feeding your curiosity, and I'm a firm believer that that's when authentic learning happens. That's whenever you are feeding yourself the most and the most authentically. So, check this out because I think this. I mean, and this is really the fundamental question that we're talking about today, which is why does curiosity matter? Why do we care about curiosity? Why are we concerned with curiosity? So, we're going to watch this video. So this is Neil deGrasse Tyson. For those of you that don't know anything about Neil deGrasse Tyson, he is a astrophysicist. He's also the head of the Hayden Planetarium in New York City. He is a host of the show Cosmos on Fox. He also runs a podcast called Star Talk. He's a generally brilliant guy, and he has a lot to say about kind of curiosity and curiosity's role in his own development. So watch this.
Me in a first visit to the local planetarium, the Hayden Planetarium in New York City. Ever since then, had you asked me what I want to be when I grow up, that annoying question that adults always ask, I would have said, an astrophysicist.
So began a lifelong desire to learn, resulting in Neil being an authority on subjects from astrophysics to engineering, political science to fine wine. This commitment to constant learning is something he has in common with all the great thinkers and visionaries, and enables us to ask the questions that push the frontier of human knowledge.
I think often about the questions we do not yet know to ask because discoveries yet to come, but when they arrive, will put us in a new vista, a new place to stand, enabling us to see questions undreamt of and unimagined before we got there.
Our greatest achievements as a species come from asking these types of questions and the curious spirit that drives it. Curiosity isn't a learned trait, it's a mindset that begins the moment we're cognizant, and it's why kids want to know more about everything.
I don't think kids need any inspiration at all to have wonder about the natural world around them or to discover. That's all they do. If you let them, All right? If you let them run loose in your yard, that's the end of your yard, but they would have been totally exploratory under the rock, the bark of the tree, the leaves, in your home. They'll break stuff, but these are experiments.
When we're young, the world is new and exciting, and we're naturally curious. And if this is encouraged by good teachers and mentors, our brains start to decode the world around us.
Whether or not you ever again use the math that you learned in school, the act of having learned the math established a wiring in your brain that didn't exist before. And it's the wiring in your brain that makes you the problem solver.
Expanding that logical, critical thinking part of the brain sets off chain reactions of questions that we may ponder for the rest of our lives. And if this isn't nurtured and protected, we start taking things at face value, simply what it is and not why it is.
At some point, all that's beaten out of us. In school, we only think of knowledge. Let me unzip your head and pour knowledge in. And then give it back to me on a test, and then you've done well. Where's the analysis? Where is the interpretation?
Socratic method.
Where is that interaction with that knowledge? That is the expression of curiosity.
The expression itself can be the hardest part. Sometimes we're discouraged and even criticized for asking questions, so we turn to the familiar, the acceptable. But this isn't how breakthroughs happen. When you actively keep that curious spirit alive, your brain is wired to be active and observant instead of passive and complacent. You're constantly opening new doors to opportunities and new ways of thinking, exposing yourself to the exciting, the fresh, the mind-blowing.
We have such a limited range of cosmic life experience. The temperature range in which we experience and live, the range of density, the range of, just think about how restricted our lives are compared to what is possible to experience in the universe.
Expanding our cosmic life experience, as Neil calls it, is a humbling exercise. By constantly seeking out new information objectively and logically, we quickly realize that the more we know, the more we don't know, and consequently, the more we want to know. In Ian Leslie's book, Curious, he identifies several strategies for keeping that exploratory spirit alive. Ask why. For such a simple question, it can lead to profound answers, and yet it's often one of the hardest to ask. Maybe we don't want to look dumb or we think we know the answer already, but a well-timed why can be the difference between frustration and understanding. Read. We live in an age of unprecedented access to information. We can order textbooks to our doorstep and fill our Kindles with classic literature, not to mention the advancements in knowledge of our entire species accessed from a screen in our pockets. Our personal development of knowledge then is only limited by our interest and our focus. Learn different ways. The best way for new knowledge to stick is to tackle it from a few different angles, mixing lab and lecture, concrete and abstract, big picture and little details. One of the hardest lessons to learn is that it's almost impossible to get something on the first try, and more often it takes several passes just to get the basics. Embrace the boring. Sometimes when we start a new subject, they don't grab us right away, but the more you learn about it, the more it interests you. The details give a new perspective and you begin to see connective tissue to other subjects. Before deciding if we should continue down a path or not, we have to give enough time to understand the possibilities. Keep an open mind. Nothing is more detrimental to intellectual growth than becoming stuck in a particular mindset. If we don't challenge our own views by at least considering the alternatives, it's very easy to become stuck in that stagnating mentality. Curiosity is looking out at the universe in wonder. It's asking the big questions and the small questions. It's understanding the familiar and then pushing out into the frontier.
Rupert Murdoch will say, as he said to me, curiosity is the thing that's served him best in life. And a reflection of that is a company that he's built, and being a visionary, as you were. Where does that come from?
So, here, Gates gets to a couple of fundamental things. One is why I continue to teach at Antioch High School. Um, I stay around our school. I get offered other jobs on a consistent basis, and I don't take them because I believe that the students that we teach are just as capable thinkers and learners as students anywhere else. It's just about whether or not they believe that about themselves yet. It's just about whether or not anybody has told them that they are. If not, I'm telling you now, your your brain is just as capable. You might need some help on the processes. You might not have as robust of a background in exploring these ideas, but you are just as capable of learning and discovering and answering these questions as anybody else is. And I think that Gates's biggest question or biggest idea here is that when you encounter a question, you don't run from it, you seek to understand it. One of the things that I don't understand about my students sometimes is that they have questions about the world that they're just comfortable not knowing the answers to. They're just comfortable, they just assume that there are no answers out there, and so they just, okay, well, I don't know. I don't know. And that is a principally alien thing for me because I am always seeking answers to whatever it is, to everything. So I'm a firm believer that you need to seek answers, ask questions, seek answers. So if you remember in the learner assessment that I had you guys do, one of the things I had you guys do is I asked you to give me 3 questions that you would like answers to, right? And then to rate whether or not you thought that you would ever get an answer to them. Um, I your assignment this week is to try and answer one. There will be a form that gives you kind of a framework of how to do that, and it'll kind of guide your like exploration a little bit. But I want you to pick one of those 3 questions that you want the answer to, and I want you to go out and find an answer for it. I want you to go out and figure out whether or not aliens exist. I want you to go out and look into whether or not something happens whenever we die. All right. I want you to go out and discover, what colleges you want to go to. None of these questions are bad questions, and they're all answerable to some degree. Because even though you might not get an absolute answer, right? Like I can't absolutely tell you whether or not there's life in the universe, but I can give you a probability. There's actually a formula for it called the Drake equation. And the Drake equation can actually give you a probability of whether or not there's life in the universe. I can't tell you exactly what's going to happen after we die because we have no experiential firsthand knowledge, but I can give you a probability, and I can definitely give you different frameworks of understanding that exist out there, right? And there are many, right? And then from that, you can start to navigate and then continue to investigate because answers always lead to more questions. Anytime that you answer a question, you're going to actually find more questions along the way, and that's how learning works. That's the big secret. The big secret of learning is just continuing to chase the answers to questions. Um, and what I want this to be focused on is I want this to be focused on your ideas and your journey and your questions, especially right now because I don't think that we've built enough time and space for you guys in school for that. I don't think that we've built enough room for you guys to explore things on your own. So this week that is going to be your assignment is pick one of those 3 questions that you want answered, and go out and find some answers. And like I said, there will be a form up that will kind of give you some ideas of places to start, some suggestions, um, and then you can kind of go from there. And yeah, um, and that'll be all that we do for this week. I'll have you submit that plus our weekly discussion post because you do still need to submit the weekly discussion post over here, which is ignorance bliss, which is definitely a question worth asking, and we're going to reflect on that a bit more next week. I do want to say that these I was really hoping to do something with these way of knowledge presentations this week. And I asked you guys to try and get them done by Wednesday. Today is Wednesday at about 9:30 at night, and I only have one group that's submitted so far, and that makes it a little bit of a struggle. So Friday, I'm not going to ask you guys to do anything, but I am going to ask you to log in to our Teams chat, so that way maybe we can talk about what's happening with class. I can maybe answer some questions. Maybe we can figure out how I can better support you, so that way maybe we can get things done, because we're kind of not getting stuff done, and that's a little bit worrisome for the sake of our class able to move forward, because this class is really, we're having to do TOK in a way that it's not supposed to be done. TOK is not supposed to be an assignment driven class, it's supposed to be an exploration driven class, but it's hard to do discussion based exploration and just kind of exploring ideas and watching videos and talking about things um, through a virtual environment. And I have certain requirements that are coming from the district that I'm being asked to do, um, that make me have to kind of make it a bit more checklisty than I would like it to be. I'm not big on checklist courses where did this, I must have done. I'm not really big on that. None of my classes in school operate like that. But unfortunately, that's just kind of the reality of where we are with this virtual space. So log in Friday. We'll say 10:30. All right, 10:30 to our Teams League. It won't be long unless you guys have a lot of questions and a lot of feedback. I'm there going to be mostly just to listen, um, and try and understand you guys and what's going on. But then beyond that, that's going to be it for the week. So have a great one. I'll talk to you guys on Friday. Be safe, be great.